I then flew out to LA with the clothes, and I had more changes. We always want more things. Like, no, she has 2 pairs of pants, 1 jacket, 1 pair of shoes. That's it. And I was like, oh, cool. She was like, Laurie Strode does not care about shopping.
Hello and welcome to the Art of Costume Blogcast. I'm Elizabeth Joy Glass.
And I'm Laurie Strode's neighbor, Spencer Williams.
Spencer, how you doing?
Good. I actually feel like being Laurie's neighbor at this point probably is not enjoyable. I imagine lots of racket coming from next door,
But, she's living in the middle of nowhere now, so I don't think she has neighbors.
Right. Well,
maybe you hear her shooting up her mannequins at night.
That's what I'm saying. She that's definitely her hobby. She goes outside with a cigar and just blows up mannequins all night long.
Oh, well, if it wasn't evident, this week we watched Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills.
Oh, so fun. I love these 2 films. I am a big Halloween nerd. I especially love the first film, Halloween. So good. Halloween Kills is great also, but I just remember I saw the first one in theaters with Avisha actually, and I was just like, damn, that was so good.
This was my first time seeing the newest Halloween, but I remember watching the original Halloween because I watched it in your apartment because you made me.
Yeah, that's right. We did do that.
And I was like, okay. And I was like, oh, wait, this was really good.
I love to watch Halloween every Halloween because I live in Pasadena. The original Halloween was filmed partially in Pasadena, so it just feels like it's the thing, That's just my tradition.
Absolutely. And what is exciting about these new Halloween movies is it's 3 movies making one big story. And it's kind of jumping straight from the first one to these new ones, which I really appreciated because like Scream, I've seen clips, but I've never seen any of the films in between fully. I've seen bits and pieces and parts, but never the whole.
There's a lot of Halloween movies in between this first one and these new ones. So I love that they were like, let's just take those out of the equation and just act like there wasn't 2,000 spin-offs.
I think we should treat all of the Halloween films in between the first one and the 2018 one as horror nightmares that Laurie had.
Oh, that's cool.
Each one, I think we should think of each one as a different dream she had.
That's cool. Not good dreams.
Not good dreams. That's why she's a little bit on the edge.
Yeah, a little bit.
I should say that's why she's fully on the edge.
Laurie Strode's ready to go off at any second. Thank you all for coming back on a Thursday. We had our interview with Emily Gunshore on Tuesday talking about Scream. So excited for you to hear the second half as we talk about Halloween and Halloween Kills. But first, let's get into our business of the day, as always. I'll start with a little summary. Laurie Strode and her family confront her longtime foe, Michael Myers, the masked figure who has haunted her since she narrowly escaped his killing spree on Halloween night 4 decades ago. And that is Halloween and Halloween Kills. 2 in 1.
Yes, because both take place on the same night. So let's go behind the wardrobe. We have director David Gordon Green, our fabulous costume designer, Emily Gunshore, who you'll know her work from Benders, The Last OG, Scream 2022, and Stargirl. Her current work is 13 the Musical that you can find on Netflix, and Halloween Ends, which I'm pretty sure came out last week, if I remember my dates correctly.
It's either out or coming out. I'm sure everyone listening to us right now is like, it's out.
Yeah.
Anyways, very excited. Let's bring Emily Gunshore back and talk about Halloween and Halloween Kills.
Yes.
Emily, welcome back.
Welcome back, Emily.
Thank you for having me.
She's like, it's been 5 minutes.
It's so exciting to be here.
We are so excited to talk to you about Halloween and Halloween Kills. Honestly, if I had to say what my favorite horror movie is, I think it would be Halloween. It really wavers between Halloween and Scream, but I guess because I live in Pasadena, it has that Halloween vibe. So I'm just so excited to talk about these films.
They're iconic. That is for sure. So many iconic moments in all of these movies.
So the first Halloween came out in 1978. And just like Scream, it is a huge horror franchise. What was your overall experience working on this new trilogy of Halloween films?
I mean, this has to be the pinnacle of everything I've done being a part of the Halloween movies. I mean, it has really become a family. For each of these movies, you know, David Gordon Green, our director, and the production designer, Richard Wright, and myself, our DP, we've all become really good friends also. And I think that this franchise was, you know, in 1978, it also was made as like an independent movie that Jamie will talk about. Like, she went out and went to Walmart and bought this blue shirt because that's what she thought she should wear, you know, and they had $25 to do it, you know, and sometimes she'll say things to me like, oh, well, in the original Emily, we only had one. So if you have two, it's going to be fine. And I'd be like, oh my God, we're at different times, different expectations. But just being a part of this movie has been such an honor and so fun to, you know, it's like this entrusting in this baby that so many people recognize and see and respect and look to on so many different levels. So it's been really exciting.
The fact that you did both Scream and all these Halloween films is probably one of the most badass resumes ever. I mean, I'm like jealous of your brain and your experiences.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I did both of these Halloweens before Scream. And then, you know, yeah, so it was definitely a good leaping off point and lots to learn about making horror movies, you know,
right.
Lots of night shooting, which is not my favorite, but lots to learn about multiples and blood and color, playing with color. But I think my favorite part about working on these movies was that David really is always looking for characters. So he likes, you know, really interesting, weird vibes of a character and like things that are so unexpected. Like, why would they wear that? But okay, cool, let's do it. You know, there's just so many opportunities for costumes that I feel like we don't necessarily look at a horror film and think of that. And then there it is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the costumes in these movies are so good because there's so much storytelling in them. You know, when people think of the original Halloween, obviously, like, the costumes aren't at the top of mind. But this one, like, I was in love with the costumes. It was so fun. Starting with Jamie Lee Curtis, who I proudly bend the knee to. She is the original Scream Queen. I'm obsessed with her. Anything she does. We just did our Everything Everywhere All at Once episode. So good.
Oh, so good.
So good.
Jamie is brilliant and brings like an energy to the room that is just indescribable and so inspiring because she's just strong and passionate and intelligent. So yeah, so again, with her character, we started by going back and watching all the original movies. Well, not all of them, because really our movie is 1978 and then 20 years later to us. David specifically wanted to kind of forget all the other movies in between. You can't completely forget. You still, you know, I still watched them just to kind of vibes, but
we've all seen them.
All seen them. Exactly. You got to just kind of do your homework a little bit. But for me specifically, like from the 1978 picture, I took a color story and, you know, you nailed it there with your picture, but I took a color story of this free young woman before trauma, because I think that a lot of the horror films, even though, you know, you originally watch them and you're like, oh, they're just about the blood and the gore and the scare. For us, for Jamie's character, it's really about a person who was free from trauma and then had this huge trauma and how you show that all these years later.
Right.
So I wanted to stick to the color. She's also very strong, very independent. You know, she's built this wall around herself in the first movie and built a cage. And, you know, she's been out there fighting her whole life, and she has a family, but really fighting has been more important than her family. So we wanted to tell that through her clothes, like very utilitarian, very dark, but also still the same person.
Right. You could really see how like the trauma really consumed her life, and she comes out in this film like someone. I mean, she gives like almost Walking Dead vibes. Like she's not messing around either. Almost like when we were talking about the Scream episode, she's been waiting for this moment. She knew it was coming, and just her clothes just say, you know,
Fight time.
She's ready to go. It's fight time. Yeah, I would not mess with this Laurie Strode at all.
Yeah, she means business. And the wig, we actually went back and forth of whether she was going to have her short hair or the wig. And I think the wig was just such a great choice, because otherwise she looks like Jamie Lee Curtis, which is not a bad thing, but like it really embodied Laurie Strode. And Jamie saw it. She saw it in the world on another hairdresser actually that had that hair, and took a picture and was like, this is how I want my hair to look. And we were all like, yep, that's it.
I love that. So that actually brings up another question. Like I get the feeling that Jamie, which I think we all know, loves this character and is very involved. I imagine that she must have been very collaborative on this process.
So much so. I mean, on this first movie, I had never met her. She was in LA, and basically, you know, I did research and pulled images, and we had a lot of discussion about types of things. And then, you know, when you get to a modern day movie, you can talk all you want to talk, but until you put the clothes on the body, nothing really matters. So we started doing some shopping. We were filming this movie in Charleston, South Carolina, and Jamie was in LA. So I actually put together my favorite outfits and dressed a dress form and sent her photos months before we started filming, just to say, this is the color story. This is the vibe. That jacket that she's wearing there, the Barber jacket, was in those original photos, you know, and she was just kind of like, yes, this is it. And if anything, I was complicating it more than she wanted. I then flew out to LA with the clothes, you know, and I had more changes. We always want more things. Like, no, he has 2 pairs of pants, 1 jacket, 1 pair of shoes. That's it. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, you know, I bought it she was like, Laurie Strode does not care about shopping. She does not care about, you know, she's not going to get new things. She's had the same tank top, the same shirt, and the same pair of pants now for 10 years. And it worked. So then we just had to make it lived in and, you know, look authentic.
I love it. She's just like, I already have my tank top. I don't know why you're calling me.
Totally.
Like, that's not how it works.
Really, yeah, she's amazing, but she's also so welcoming, and yeah, she's the best.
Can you just take Elizabeth and I on set next time you do a film like this, just so we can watch? We don't. I mean, I'll help you. I'll get your food and stuff, but I just want to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Some new and amazing characters were the high school students of Haddonfield. A very interesting group of kids. What was it like coming up with this new look for them?
Yeah. So, I mean, Haddonfield is the Midwest. It's Indiana. We wanted it to feel authentic to what that world, you know, is, and they're not going to the mall and shopping at Urban Outfitters, and TikTok isn't like the thing, you know, they're digging in the thrift store, and they're a little bit more, just more characters, more like interesting types of people than just the run of the mill high school world was kind of how this group was looked at, except for Andy, who plays Allison, Laurie Strode's granddaughter. In this movie, I really wanted her to feel like a polar opposite of Jamie. So she still lives in that world, but she's wearing a light pink sweater. She's sweet. She's dressing in a masculine tie. Like she's looking to look beyond Mike Myers and the trauma that it's caused on her family. She's trying to, you know, her mother, Judy, has kind of pushed that away and wants to forget about this side of her life. So trying to give Andy that personality that she's just a regular high schooler and she's living in the Midwest and she's, going to go to school and study whatever she's going to study. Yeah. And Bonnie and Clyde with her
I love that too.
partner. Like that was Bonnie and Clyde was something that was already written into the script when I came onto the project. And I just loved it. I loved that she was Clyde and he was Bonnie. And it was like such a fun moment. Because I just feel like it's something that Laurie Strode would never have done.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Something else Laurie Strode never would have done, wear a Christmas sweater. I was so excited to see
this was like
Judy Greer play her daughter.
This was like, it was almost a joke. Like we were in a production meeting, or I was in a meeting with David and we were talking about like what Judy's character would do, like growing up, that Laurie would forever want to ignore Halloween. This is like, let's just skip Halloween. Let's just skip it. Go to the next thing. And that is how Judy's character would look at her mother like, why are we still talking about Halloween? Like, this has ruined my life. So it was kind of like a passing joke. Like, what if we just give her something totally random that like she skipped Halloween? Like there's decorations on the whole block of houses, but there's none at their house. So what if Judy's wearing a Christmas sweater? And David was like, laughed and was like, I love that. That's actually really funny. I didn't think it was going to stick and that we were going to actually do this. But like,
right. A whole second film.
Judy wasn't there yet. And, I'm like, oh yeah, a Christmas sweater. This is kind of silly and fun and quirky and like weird. And like, there's not, it says something, it says a story, but it's also, anyway, so there was actually a vintage Christmas sweater store in Charleston on the main road. I became friends with the owner of it, and he had a warehouse of vintage Christmas sweaters. And before Judy got there, I went and picked through and picked my favorite few of them that felt obviously a Christmas sweater, but not like, a big Rudolph or a big cheesy pom-pom on the front and like a pretty color tone. And so there it was. All of a sudden, she was in a Christmas sweater. And at this point, we weren't talking about making a second movie or how the second movie was going to start. So there was like no cognitive choice that it was like, oh, now Judy's going to be in a Christmas sweater for an entire movie.
It's so perfect. I remember, like, I saw both films in the theaters, and then the other night I was preparing for this interview, and I just, like, did a double take. I looked at the screen, I was like, is that a Christmas sweater? Like, I don't know how I never noticed it before, but now that I see it, like, I audibly laugh every time I see it. It's so perfect.
Judy and I still laugh because she came to the fitting, and it was like, she just had the ugliest clothes in the fitting room. Like she walked in and she's so cool and nice and, from California. And I was just like, I'm sorry, you have really bad clothes. Like her character, Karen, she's a Midwest woman who works with children and just doesn't care about fashion. She shops at Dillard's, and not that whatever, there's anything wrong with that, but it was just not her normal style.
Right. And Elizabeth, this gives strong you energy if you're in a horror film.
I know. I really want that sweater, honestly.
The Christmas sweater queen.
It is perfect.
Yeah. I mean, Judy looks cute in it, like all things. Like
she does.
You gotta love Judy for like embracing it and going for it. Her jeans were also from the Dillards, and they were like super embroidered on the back pocket, like really like thick stitching and heavily embroidered and like kind of boot cut.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, they were special.
Okay, but now it's not a laughing matter because we have to talk about Michael Myers. I love this costume because it feels really resemblant of the old Michael Myers costume, but it's just now gone, like somehow it's gone darker. It's gone more evil. Like you look at this Michael Myers and he's way more scary than original Michael Myers. And there's really not much of a difference. I do notice that the mask, which is different than Scream, this mask looks obviously weathered. You do see, through the scene, the film, a little bit more blood. This Michael Myers is not a Michael Myers you want to be stuck with.
No. So Chris Nelson is the mastermind behind the masks. He's a special effects makeup artist extraordinaire, and he built the masks for all three of our movies. And so, so the mask is definitely changed, but the whole concept, unlike in Scream, is that this mask is the same mask. It's been in custody at the insane asylum, and now he's had to steal the mask back. And it's like, that moment happens where the mask has come out. So it's been through the ringer. And his coveralls, it was another conversation because, when we actually meet Mike Myers at the beginning of Halloween, he's in the institute and he's in the uniform. So he steals the coveralls from the workmen. So we had a little bit of autonomy to create our own coveralls. And going back and looking at the original movie, I really wanted them to have the same menacing feel. You still want the Halloween store to get a blue coverall and know that it's Mike Myers.
Right.
So we knew there were certain parameters we wanted to stick with, but again, modernizing it, making it scary. And we actually did a lot of work on these coveralls. It went through a lot of process. So we purchased them. They were actually like a charcoal gray. And then our ager dyer, April, did just so much work to make them as perfect as they are. So the coveralls originally were purchased were like a charcoal blue gray, would be like a graphite blue gray. And then she overdyed them into a navy color to pull them slightly darker. So that was the beginning of the process of the end. And then, it was like, oh my God, are we ever going to get enough of them? And then she started distressing them. So the pair that he stole from the mechanic start with just a little bit of mechanic oil, grease, that kind of thing. And as we progress through the films and he gets into the fights and all the things happen, they keep them there. So it's a lot of energy.
I love that. It is just so creepy, but just like so perfectly creepy. I was just very excited to see it. And I'm glad that Michael Myers also knows his own power and is not going to go to the store and buy like some flannels and short shorts. Like he knew what he had to wear for
I gotta kill
his
that mechanic
reprisal.
there just to get my coveralls.
That's an interesting storyline behind his mind.
Yeah.
What was not scary, I was so excited to see Kyle Richards come back, reprise her role as Lindsay. It was just like the perfect celebratory moment, I guess, for all the OG fans out there to see Kyle Richards show up. What was it like working with Kyle?
Oh my God. Meeting and working with Kyle was so awesome and amazing. She, I just had no expectations, of you never know. And Kyle just came in. She was so excited to get back into this role that she hadn't been in since such a little kid. And we had no idea her backstory. We kind of wanted to give her a little bit of toughness, a little bit of gothness. Like she built up this edge, but I wanted to keep to the color story and have a little bit of plaid in her, hence the jacket.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize. Yeah, she was wearing plaid in the original.
Yeah, and if that photo wasn't black and white, it is in that burgundy navy color palette too. So I just wanted to like tie that back together in case anybody forgot what.
Perfect chef's kiss.
Exactly. A little Easter egg here and there. Yeah, we gave her a little nose ring. We wanted to make her slightly goth, and into this mystic world so that she had a little bit of personality. We wanted to keep the bangs from her childhood, so that was kind of a thing. And yeah, she's wore some Doc Marten boots and black jeans, a tough modern woman.
You almost make Haddonfield feel like a cool place to live, like almost. If we didn't see all the trauma that happens, like I would hang out with Lindsay.
Totally. I would definitely hang out with Lindsay any day of the week. She's so cool.
I feel like this is one of the greatest parts of the Halloween films is that they take place at Halloween.
Yeah.
How do you come up with so many different costumes? And honestly, they're all like really fun. I feel like none of them are basic.
Yeah. So that is one of the main goals that I've always had from all of the Halloweens, is that no one would go to the Halloween adventure and buy a costume in a packet. Just because personally, I think that even if you're going to be, like Oscar is the vampire, the devil. He was a devil. Sorry. So even if you're going to be like Oscar and be the devil, you're not going to just go buy the pack that's there, and do it. You're going to be a little bit more creative. Personally, that's my take on Halloween. I love homemade costumes, and I love a little bit of character to them. So that was a big part of all of the Halloween parties, and the list, it kind of goes twofold because you're also dealing with a lot of licensing and clearances with those Halloween stores. So that's something that we have to be very conscientious of on my end. So then on top of that, we would just make lists upon lists of like, oh, we could make a cat. Oh, we could make a devil. Oh, we could make a princess. Oh, we could, and then you're like, if you like deep dive into the kids at that Halloween party, I mean, you have a jellyfish, you have a scuba diver, you have inanimate objects, like just you end up running out of things to create. So you're walking through Home Depot and you're like, oh, there's some metal in a thing. What can I make out of that? Like maybe it's going to be a robot, or maybe it's a fork. Like,
Best job ever.
It really is fun, but then it gets very creative. And, again, we're always just coming up with different like crazy, like things, or going back to the original 1978 movie and looking for Easter eggs. So
right.
In the original 78 movie, there's this one tiny little brief bit where like a group of kids is walking down Main Street and they're in costumes, and one of them is dressed as a balloon person, like, and they have these like, blown up balloons just like all to them. So in Halloween Kills, in one of the flashbacks, we actually recreated that kid as a background actor, and it has balloons all over them. So we were just always looking for fun. This is the fun part.
Yeah, I have to go back and look at that. That's so fun.
Yeah.
So when you saw in a script all the high schoolers were going to like a Halloween dance, were you like, oh, this is going to be so fun? Or were you kind of like, this is going to be crazy?
Oh, no, I'm like, this is going to be the best day. And, of course, you're like up against all different aspects of it because, they don't want you to pre-fit them and they want them to come dressed. And, there's lots of layers to it, but it ends up being really fun.
Oh, so fun. I'm jealous. Also, I wish that we had more dances like this just in general. Like, where are these Halloween dances? I mean, not that I need to go to a high school, but just a Halloween dance,
You're going to have to create your own.
Right. Ooh, that'd be fun, like an art costume. Anyways, understatement of the year, there's a little bit of blood in Halloween and Halloween Kills.
Oh, gallons and gallons.
How the aging and breakdown of these costumes is so intense. I mean, even Michael Myers goes through it. Just how did you accomplish this? Your team must have been working around the clock.
Yeah, so it is a constant process and check-in, because you get the script and you break the script down and you say like, oh, this scene, there's going to be this fight, and you're trying to read between the lines, and then you ask the director and you ask the stunt coordinator, like, what's going to happen? Where are they going to get stabbed? And they say, oh, they're going to get stabbed here. And then when you get there on the day and the actors do it and they're in the moment, the stab is never, ever, ever, ever where 2 weeks ago in the meeting they said that it was going to be. Like 100%, it's not there. It's always something different. And so we always have to be a little bit flexible, a little bit patient to like watch the choreographer, because it's nobody's fault, but it's like once you get into the moment and the actor is doing the action and they see how they're going to land, this is where the stab goes. So then I have a team of people on set who are ready to add bullets, add knife wounds, add blood, touch up. And then from that moment, we'll take photographs. It'll get sent back to the shop to where the aging and dying team is, then can create multiples for the next day.
That is
it's a lot of back and forth, but then sometimes we shoot a scene that takes place after said action and we don't know what's going to happen in the action. So we'll really have to talk to all of the people and say, okay, we're adding this knife stab here because this scene takes place after it. And so then we'll have to back into it. So it kind of ebbs and flows, and sometimes it needs to be fixed in post, unfortunately, but often it works out. somehow it works out in the end because it was lots of blood. And then we're always maintaining, like, to see, like, okay, we're up to this point, especially for Mike Myers coveralls. Like, the first movie, there was, I believe, 9 phases of the coveralls, as far as, like, so here's where he got them from the mechanic. Then after the mechanic, he got into a fight and he got sliced on the, abdomen here, and there's a slice and it's bleeding a little. So then that's phase 2. And then phase 3, he got shot, 2 bullet wounds were added in this thing. So they're all like numbered and there's photographs, and we just have to make sure. So by the second movie, when he's coming out of the flames, he's now wet, on fire, has all of the action from the first movie, and then we're starting for the second movie.
That exhausting. I just don't even know how you do it, honestly.
I mean, honestly, there was definitely points where I'd be like, wait a minute, I forget what happened. And then you have to, like, go back to the note.
Right.
And then
every time someone gets stabbed, you're just shaking your head. You're like, here we go.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. And like with Jamie, I mean, in the back of that truck that day, we shot the beginning of it a year before we shot the second movie, and she's covering herself in blood. That blood is so sticky and cold. Yep.
I get the idea, though, that she loves it, though. We have a picture, and she's clearly just dousing herself in it.
She was just like, more blood. Like, oh my God. So fun.
Oh, so much fun. We love these movies, and Halloween Ends is right around the corner. It's going to come to theaters on October 14th. Without revealing too much, what can we expect from the highly anticipated finale?
Yeah, well, I can't tell you any good info because I would be giving away way too much, but the movie is going to be really exciting, and we worked hard on it, so I'm excited for everybody to see. It was the same Halloween family, and yeah, check it out. You're going to love it.
Oh, I am so excited. I'm going night of. I will be there. I cannot wait. Emily, thank you so much for all of your insight. This has been so much fun talking to you about Scream, Halloween, Halloween Kills, 13 a musical, which is on Netflix right now. I'm obsessed with your work, and you are just so badass. I don't know. I love having you here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was really nice to meet you guys as well. So thanks.
Thank
you so much. Hello, Blogcast listeners. It's Elizabeth Joy Glass, co-host and producer of the Art of Costume Blogcast. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate all your support. If you wanted to continue your support, you can now become one of our costume mavens when you become our patron at patreon.com/theartofcostume. There we post unheard bloopers, highlights, and you can even catch our monthly bonus episodes for patrons only. Make sure to check out the description for a link to our Patreon. Spencer, that was incredible. I love her talking about the distressing. The whole process fascinates me.
Right. I could talk about that forever. Can you imagine being on set and every time someone gets stabbed, like that entire costume team was just probably like, like that Ben Affleck meme where he's like in a dark alleyway smoking. Like that's them like every day on set.
Or the Keanu Reeves with the sandwich.
Like just so exhausting. And like people get stabbed in this film like every other scene. So.
And it's like the way how she talked about it. It sounds like it's just so crazy and there's just like so much juggling and like coordination they have to do. But like you look at the film and it seems effortless, honestly. Yeah, like they did their job so well. It looks like they didn't do anything. Like,
yeah. And boy, was Judy Greer's Christmas sweater such like a foreshadowing for this podcast. It's
where is the swear house? I need this. Oh my gosh, I bought a Christmas sweatshirt off Etsy the other day.
See, this is what I'm talking about, everyone. Like giving strong Karen Judy Greer vibes over here.
It's September and I bought a Christmas sweatshirt to add to my collection.
Well, thank you all so much for listening to this week's episode. As always, leave us a voicemail. Tell us what you thought. 626-515-1826. We'd be happy to hear from you.
And if you want some content from us in between episodes, we are at the Art of Costume Pod on Instagram, at the Art of Costume on TikTok. You can become our costume maven at patreon.com/theartofcostume. If you need a little sweater, it's not Christmas themed, unfortunately, but you can go to theartofcostume.com/pod store and get the Art of Costume Pod sweatshirt. Also, if you like this episode, you can leave us a little 5-star text review on Apple Podcasts and or Spotify.
Thank you so much once again. And remember, next week on Tuesday, we're watching Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth. I am so excited.
The Art of Costume blogcast is hosted and produced by Elizabeth Joy Glass and Spencer Williams. Our audio engineering and editing is done by Dan White. Follow us on Instagram at The Art of Costume Pod or visit theartofcostumeblogcast.com for all blogcast updates. If you want to support the show, go to theartofcostume.com/podstore. Or you can head over to patreon.com/theartofcostume for some bonus content. For more costume reviews, deep dives, and interviews, head over to theartofcostume.com, a blog dedicated to highlighting the best in costume design.
Oops.
I
recorded the first part and then I stopped it. Sorry.
Oh, so you haven't done conclusion. Okay, so we're fine.
No. We're fine. I remembered just in time.
Are you recording now?
I'm recording now, yeah.
Then we're doing that again. Sorry.